Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Being Humble with Jason Rumble. And tonight, I'm proud to bring my next guest on. Because you know what? I've really never gotten to, so to speak, interview him, but I know him that well, like I've interviewed him millions of times. So, in my opinion, a man at times who's mistaken, but to me, a man who has one of the biggest hearts. He'll take the shirt off your back, off his own back for you. He's always been a devoted and true friend to me, and I love him like a brother. So I'm proud to bring in at this time my brother from another mother, a man who I believe should soon be in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I will be reaching out to Joe Bruin in the next few hours. I could even be reaching out to him tonight during the show because I am in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and guys like me, my vote counts. So if you had to ask me, my next guest is a future pro wrestling Hall of Famer, but he's already a Hall of Fame friend, a Hall of Fame father in life. Without further ado, I'd like to bring into you my buddy, my brother, Stiff Mike King. How are you tonight, brother?
What's going on, bro?
What's going on?
Nothing.
So, this won't be like any other interview where we'll talk wrestling. We're gonna talk you, man. For the people out there that only know you as the
Are you
as
sure you
the
want to get into that train?
as as the as the as a guy who loves to stir the pot, especially on our network. You know,
Listen, it's all
uh,
it's all in fun.
yeah, I
I
know
think
that, brother. Like I said, man. Right? We'll get into that. No matter what other people thought about you, whether or not you were brash or just the type of dude that would tell people what you think of them right to their face.
well,
You know,
that's my
I
pro- that's my
I knew,
problem sometimes.
but buddy, but the thing is I knew you, so I knew, you know what I mean. I know who the real you is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean. I know who the real
not too
dude
many
is.
people do.
I do, man. I do. As much as I want to break your balls and about the Brooklyn, New York crap. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
whatever.
Can I tell you, bro? It never. It was never that big to me, man.
I know.
I already hated the fact that you was a fucking Yankees fan. I could have cared less if you was from Tupelo, Mississippi. I think that's I think that's one of the things that really generated our friendship, man.
Yeah,
And if you think about it, when we first met, that's when the Yankees had Wetland. And I'll be honest with you, the Yankees, that's when they started to get good again. Because for a while,
they
they were
sucked.
just like the Red Sox. They were
Yep,
cellar dwellers. You know what
yep.
I mean?
Oh
I
yeah.
believe. I believe at that time, dominating the East was the Orioles for a little while, if
It
I'm
was
not mistaken.
I do believe it was the Orioles and it was the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays, yep,
They were fighting for 1 and 2 at the time, and the Red Sox and the Yankees were on the bottom of the barrel.
yep, that's absolutely correct.
Yep.
And yeah, I actually like that. I was a guy who always respected Jeter, but
I did.
just
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean.
There was people there was guys in the Red Sox I respected. I mean I like Ortiz. I
Yeah,
respect what he's done. That's about it.
like and to you just grow up in Boston not liking the Yankees. But the one thing is, I respect the series. It's just like you're a Bruins fan. Who do we
Right.
hate? We hate the Canadians.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for the Habs, like what would be a being a Bruins fan would be kind of lame back in the day. You know what I mean?
And,
It's,
and
it,
and actually I'm not even a Patriots fan. I'm a Bears fan.
I know that. I tell people that. I
Yeah.
tell people that. What
Yeah.
drew you into being a Bears fan?
The Super Bowl shuffle. I
Yeah,
fell in love with McMahon and Walter Payton and Perry and Mike Singletary. All them guys. That whole team just caught my eye, and I've been a Bears fan for the longest time. And I mean, and the Bears, they stink. They every
Yep.
year they stink, but I'm still a Bears fan.
So up until '86, what were you any other fan up until then, or is that
No,
just when football
yeah,
caught your eye?
I really didn't really watch football that much before then. I got it started getting into it around then.
Yeah,
I've always been a huge Bruins fan since I was a kid. Always. Um, little side note that nobody really knows. I started off being a Red Sox fan, but majority of my family was Yankees fans, so I just kind of fell into that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I used to catch a lot of crap, a lot of heat from my family because I used to be a Red Sox fan. Believe me, it was nonstop torture.
And at that time, who was your Red Sox player you liked?
Yastrzemski,
Yeah,
yes,
it.
Jim Rice,
Yeah,
them guys. Yeah,
it was hard. I'll be honest with you, as a sports fan, it's hard not to like what the you know. I felt bad for those guys in a way, shape, and form. Having Lynn, having
yeah.
Dewey Evans, Jim
They never got a
Rice,
World. They never got a
Yastrzemski.
World Series.
Yeah, imagine that.
So
Imagine that. Nowadays, you got a trio or somebody like that. Teams go out and pay big bucks to
right.
to make sure guys like that win.
I mean, when they won in 2004, when they broke the curse, they all got. All them guys got rings. They
Yeah.
they they had to give them rings. Like the ones that like stood out. Back in the day, like I'm sure Yaz got a ring. I'm sure Jim Rice got a ring. Dwight Evans got a ring. I'm sure Boggs got a ring. I mean, he
Oh
was on
yeah.
those teams. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then he went to the Yankees and got his ring. So
I loved it when Boggs went to the Yankees, got his ring, and I'll never forget when he rode the security horse around Yankee Stadium.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I I respect the rivalry, man. Nothing like, but the rivalry's nothing like it was.
No, not anymore. It's not.
It's
Dude. Everything's changed. Everything. You know what I mean? And I guess it's just I guess it's just life in general. Things change. Like wrestling's changed. The sport of hockey. Like my grandmother. My grandmother used to go to the hockey games just for the fights. She could care
yeah,
less about the sport. She wanted to see the fights.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's just different. Everything's different. It's just I guess it's the way of the world. Sometimes it's depressing, but
It's
it,
funny you say that because my grandmother, that was the one sport she really liked, and
yeah.
I remember it vividly. Bobby Orr. That's all she would talk about is Bobby Orr.
Yeah, my grandmother. My grandmother, she died when I was 8. When I was 17, she had Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
So I mean, I played a lot of high school hockey, and she used to go to the games, but she kind of didn't know what was going on. So
yeah.
back then, but you know,
All right. So we shot the shit for about 10 minutes here. Mike, tell some of the people on here, or the not only that, but the people that will soon end up hearing this podcast later on down the road. Where did you grow up, and what was it like where you grew up?
so I grew up in Springfield, Mass. Um, Springfield, Mass was not an easy town to grow up in. Um, it's kind of like I'm not going to say Lynn, but I'm going to say more or less like South Boston, Dorchester area. Like just a lot of. I grew up in the streets.
Yeah,
I'm a street kid. You know what I mean? It's um, we lived on the border of Enfield, Connecticut, so a lot of stuff going on. Growing up, fighting, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I played a lot of sports growing up. I played football, I played baseball, I played hockey. So I tried to keep myself out of trouble. So I mean, I moved out to this area in 1995 um, to Revere Beach,
yeah.
Beachmont. Um, 24 years old, didn't know a soul. Moved out here for a job, um, and a year later, I walked into Killer Kowalski's professional wrestling school and met you clowns, and it's been going strong ever since.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
was it? So, is there anything unique about your childhood growing up in your neighborhood that maybe some of you and your friends did that
a,
definitely kids nowadays don't do?
a lot of sports.
Yeah,
We had a. I lived in an apartment. Like it's almost like an apartment community. Like it was
yeah,
all apartments, like connected to each other, and down down a little ways from my house was this giant fenced in field. And we used to play football, tackle football, none of this touch football. We played baseball. We played street hockey in the parking lot next to it. Um, you know, stuff like that. I mean, when the street lights came on, we were supposed to be home. So the normal stuff.
yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, like I said, it was just playing sports, hanging out. I was never really a big party kid.
yeah.
Like I didn't like growing up. I hated going to bars. I'm not like that. I don't drink. I've been drunk twice in my life. And it's by choice. I just don't
I
like it.
I can attest to that. I know.
I mean, I smoke the gimmick now, but that's what I mean. That's to
Oh,
help me
you
calm my.
used to ride my like put a saddle on that motherfucker and let me
Oh
ride
yeah.
that pothead.
Now it's like now it's hold on. Now I got my own gimmick.
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
Yeah. So I've been on this show a few times, blazed out of my mind. But
Sometimes I think we have to be in order to be
yeah.
on this
Yeah.
show.
I mean, I like to break balls on the show, and that's just me being stiff Mike, being a character. I don't have any dislike for anybody. Do I honestly think Joey Martin's stupid? Yes, I do. I think he's a few brain cells short of a full deck, but I love him to death. I offered to go plow his driveway for free when it was snowing out the last snowstorm. So, you know,
His driveway's tiny.
I know, but he had hit me up and said, "Could you come dig me out?" And like I said, I have other customers. I'll swing by and do it. So I'm not going to charge you, but it's going to be a bit. So when I finally got done doing my customers, I texted him and he was like, "I'm all set." I'm like, "All right." I think it was just too lazy to shovel it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like him.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the
No,
first.
no, no. Hold on. No, Capelli. I don't think you're a green kazoo. I think you just got a big giant head, but I still love you. Go on.
Okay, let's talk about your first like wrestling talk show venture, and which was in Malden Access Television,
Wrestling
and
Center.
it
Yeah.
was called Wrestling Center. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
I actually fell into that position. So at the time, uh, Charisma was the co-host with Glenn,
Yeah,
and of course, Chris being who he is, and I'm not gonna shit on him, but him and Glenn got into a huge riff, and Glenn had asked me to fill in for a little while till they straighten shit out, and it just took off, and that's honestly before I did that, I couldn't cut a promo to save my life, and and me being on live TV every week taught me how to cut promos, and I think Chris, I think Glenn for that. I even thank Charisma for that. I think oh my god, what the heck's his name now? Smooth operating gangster. What's his name?
Trey.
Trey. Because Trey was the producer. So
Yeah,
they that helped me come out of my show because the only way I could go out in front of a crowd when I first started wrestling was what paint my face because I would
yeah.
get nervous. So that helped me come out of my shell more and was able for me to kind of develop the stiff Mike character, which was given to me by Killer Kowalski. Because let's see, knock somebody's tooth out of their mouth where we were training.
And you were stiff as shit because we thought you were there as part of fucking Rocky Raymond to take
Yeah,
us all out.
bullshit. If I ever see, I would love to see him again. Him with a football team hammer.
Buddy, all he is, and I'm being honest with you after, and I'm just I don't want to take away from you, but
Yeah,
let's a quick second on Rocky Raymond. Yeah, I just by the time I went through my ordeal with him and I got to legitimately sit down with the guy and talk to him, all he was some old man looking for someone to play wrestling with.
Yeah,
If people still paid attention to him,
he's
he
still
would
being the game.
he's not only that, but he would have never paid attention to suing trying to sue me for my fucking name. Because the funny thing is after we sat in a room and talked, he gave me his number, called me a month later, and said if I could just pay him one payment, he would drop everything. So I pay him in one payment. When he sued me for 1,500, I gave him a $250 payment. This is true. I even had the thing
I
signed.
wouldn't have given him shit, but go
This
on.
is the reason why I did it, man. He busted. I didn't want to. It was a Bronx tale, Mike. Pay off, and that's to stay out of your life. Now he calls me about a month later and asks me if I wanted to rent him my ring, and I said, Rocky, not for nothing. If you're gonna rent my ring, I'm gonna need money up front, man, because my guys are not gonna go to your show full well knowing who the ring is going to, knowing how many ordeals have happened.
Exactly.
Other than that, I never heard from him again. But anyways,
Yeah.
back to
Anyways.
you.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you meet two people in professional wrestling before realistically I believe you got into the wrestling hardcore? One being Vinny Capelli, two being Bo Douglas.
Um, Vinny Capelli, I worked with at GameStop. He was a manager of the Saga store, and I was ended up got hired for the Peabody store as an assistant manager. And one thing led to another. We were talking. I said, I'm going to Kowalski's. And he said he was involved with Tony Rumble and NWA New England or CWA at the time
Yep.
as a manager. And Bo Douglas, I met at Walters.
Okay, I seem to thought that Bo had known you from being and working at GameStop and him going in there as a young kid and purchasing games. Well, maybe that was how we knew Capelli.
I think it's how we knew Capelli because I met
Okay.
I met you, I met Demon Ortiz, I met Slick Wagner Brown and Bo. That first day I ended up coming to Walters, that first class.
Yeah.
Because if you remember correctly, I threw a clothesline with the left hand, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's one of those." So yeah, that's how I met all you guys.
You didn't really run into many lefties,
No,
you
I
know?
didn't know any better, dude. All I knew how to honestly, I started training with Rocky Raymond, and he robbed me for like $1,800, and I went to Walter and explained the situation to him, and Walter let me pay him $100 a month until I was paid off.
So, all right, that brings me to that. Can you give us a good description on what it was like training with Rocky, how you met Rocky? What was some of the stuff in detail that you went through there? Please
So,
fill us in.
I met when I first moved out here. I was friends with this guy named Joe that owned a convenience store that knew Rocky, and he asked me if I wanted to go to a wrestling show in Everett. He needed somebody to help with the ring. So I'm like, all right, I'll go. I love wrestling. I've been into it since I was a little kid, and I will go and help out with the ring. So I started helping out with the ring, um, and I did. I don't know if I did such a good job, whatever. But Rocky had said, "Give me your number. I'll call you next time I have a show, and I'll use those ring crew." The next time that happened, um, it was I think it was for Souza, Silvano Souza.
Okay.
And I started, I said, "Hey, I want to learn how to be a wrestler. I want to get in the business." So every show we would go, I would up with him, and then I would train. He would teach me how to bump and everything. And I mean, that's the only thing I knew how to do at the time was learn how to bump. Was take a good back bump and a good front bump. And we did a show in Haverhill at the stadium, outside stadium, and the Samoans were there. and I was talking to them. And remember Annie? She used to
Yes.
drive the boys around. Okay, so I was hanging out with her for a little while, and she introduced me to the Samoans. And I was actually gonna like pack up everything and move to Pennsylvania and start training at their school. And Rocky caught wind of it, and it was a huge fight the next show. I ended up throwing. I asked for my money back. He wouldn't give it back to me. I ended up throwing him a ball peen hammer at him. This is God's honest truth. Like it was a huge fight. I had to had my mother-in-law come pick me up in Gloucester, Mass, so I could go home because I wasn't staying there. And then I found out that Kowalski's was right around the corner in Malden. So I walked my fat ass down there, told him what was going on, and he let me into school for $100 a month. If I didn't find out that Kowalski's was right around the corner, I would have was moving to Pennsylvania to go to the Wild Simone School.
Interested.
Yeah, I had already agreed on a price for them and everything because that's how bad I wanted to get into business. So
What was your official debut and first match?
the official debut was March of 96. No, 97, because I started at Walters in February of 96. So it was March of 97 for you had called me to pick up the Iron Sheik. No, actually, I'm sorry. Salvano Souza, we did a battle royal.
Okay.
That was my very first match as a battle royal for Souza. My first real match was against Tony Atlas up in Vermont because I had to pick up the Iron Sheik and drive him to Burlington, Vermont. What what a ride that was! Believe me, there's been some doozies. That was one of them. Oh my God, he never shut up the 4 hours that we drove. Smoked a bowl, got everybody in the car high, then broke out Tiger Bomb and woke up the whole freaking car.
I remember you coming up to me at that show too. Go, what the fuck did you get me into?
Exactly, dude.
I'm
Because
gonna
again,
fucking, I'm gonna kill you,
I'm gonna
Jay.
tell you, yeah,
And I believe at the time you had no license.
nope, no license, nope.
As I remember, you're like, you fucking asshole. I got no fucking license, and the sheik is over here smoking a fucking ounce of weed on the way
Oh
up.
yeah, dude, to the head too. Like so my ex-wife was with us at the time.
I
She was in the
remember.
back. She was in the back seat smoking with him, and I
I
couldn't
know.
because I'm driving. But I'm still getting a Don't put the windows down, you asshole. Don't like wouldn't let me put the windows down, right? So the car's full of fucking smoke. I'm trying to drive to Burlington, Vermont, no license, right? And like I'm going, if
uh,
I get pulled over, first of all, Atlas is gonna kill me. Jay, we're all going to jail because he's got an ounce of weed in this car. We're done. But yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I don't regret getting in the business because those are good stories and good memories.
well, the first time I worked for Tony, it was me going up,
Yeah.
Bert Santano, and he asked me if there was any more like me where I came from. And I looked at him and I go, there's a lot more like me where I came from, all different shapes, all
Yeah.
different sizes.
Yep.
And that's when he goes, you my assistant booker, Jason Rage. I was like,
yeah,
no problem. I remember going in.
because you got me booked after I did that. After I did that ride with the Sheik, I was working
That's
every
right.
month. Every month.
Yeah. We'd go
So,
up, me, you, Bo, Wagner.
oh
And
yeah.
Derek used to try going along with us back in the day.
That
Then we
that
had
that
remember the
clown.
other guy there that used to like dress like he was the mini Undertaker? Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
who
I
is that?
forget his name, but we used to stick him with
Sean.
Derek all the
Yeah,
time.
that kid Sean. Yeah.
Oh,
That was Kasarian's brother, friend. That was
okay.
him and Sean and Frankie came from California to
No, I'm
train.
talking the skinny kid that used to. We would. He was really annoying. He came
Who,
up to
more
one.
Beatons?
No, no, not more Beatons. Man, if I had the tape and I showed you the kid, that's how irrelevant this kid is to the
Yeah,
to.
obviously, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, uh,
And we can't forget about Damon either.
no,
Damon used to come with us too.
Damon was a mainstay. Uh,
The
So,
drag racing up the main turnpike. That
oh
stuff. That oh
Jesus,
yeah.
Wagner sticking his dick out the goddamn window.
Oh boy. It's not like it was now. It's not now. It's not like that anymore.
No,
It
they're looking
sucks.
to go. Whose house are we going to play some video games?
Exactly. The brawl that we had in the restroom, the rest stop bathroom.
Oh Jesus.
Do you imagine if we got caught, we would have been arrested because we
Oh
destroyed that
man.
bathroom. That bathroom was so messed up. I wish I could find that tape because I who taped that because that
Damon
was the
has all the footage. It was me
oh
and
my
him
god,
standing next to each other,
that was great.
and he goes to me, hey, did you were at that wrestling match? And I'm like, yeah, man, I was there. And then he hits my head off the toilet, beats the hell out of two or three of his stuffs heads in toilets, and oh man,
Oh yeah, yeah,
we
that
were
was the best.
nuts.
Yeah, we were absolutely.
What marijuana does to you,
Oh yeah.
but not you, just to me and David,
No, no,
and then and a young Bo Douglas.
I was a little straight edge back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Not anymore. I'm not.
So describe when you first meeting Walter Killer Kowalski. What was it like to you?
Um, I was in awe because again, we all are all marks before we get in this business, and still
Yep,
are marks in this business. I was taken back. I was taken back a little bit, but then as you sat and talked to him and found out how down to earth he really was, and then when I explained my situation, and his first words out of his mouth was, "Why the hell did you go there?" I go, "Well, I didn't know you were here. If I knew you were here, I would have been coming here." And the next words out of his mouth was, "He doesn't know shit. You can come here for $100 a month." Because I told him that, he took me for $1,700. So Walter felt bad. You know what I mean?
yep,
Um, there's not a day that doesn't go by, or a wrestling show doesn't go by that Walter's name doesn't come up.
yep,
You know what I mean? Even to this day, and he's been gone for a long time. We still talk about him. It's just he's just ingrained in our DNA and the way that we do things so much that you can't not think about what will Walter do. What God damn it, that was the shits all the time. You know what I mean? If even if I'm in the ring and I do something wrong, I can hear him in the back of my head going, "That sucked. That was the shits. Do it again."
yep. Describe what I want people to know is describe your relationship later on in life with Walter Killer Kowalski outside of the ring.
I did a lot for Walter, and nobody knows that. Um, as Walter got older and he needed somebody to bring him to the Boston Garden for shows, he would call me. Walter did the blessing at my wedding to my ex-wife, and then when my first daughter Gianna was born, he gave us um, three solid gold coins from his own collection as a present for Gianna being born.
Wow.
So yeah, I did a lot for Walter as he got older because he couldn't see, because he didn't want to have the cataract surgery done. So the cataracts. So at night I
Yep,
would drive. It would be me. It would either be me by myself, or it would be me and Glenn, or it'd be me and Freight Train that would drive Walter to the garden.
yep,
So every time there would be either a pay per view or a Monday Night Raw, because back then SmackDown wasn't really going like
yep,
it is now. So it'd either Monday Night Raw or a pay per view. Um, we would be there with Walter. Like we were at one of the Royal Rumbles and a lot of Monday Night Raws.
yep.
So yeah, a lot of people don't know that I used to drive him. Like Teresa would call me because I would live right around the corner from him. Can you come take Walter here, or at night, or can you make sure he gets back from the school? I'm like, yeah, no problem. I loved Walter. You know what I mean? Walter made my dream come true. I've always wanted to be a wrestler.
I was Walter's landscaper. That was the best thing in the world when he moved to Teresa's.
Yep.
If he could catch me before I hit the lawn and before he left, he would tell me, "I want you to charge her $350 today," and I would go, "But Walter, I'm only cutting the lawn. It's usually only 100. Uh, I told you to charge her $350 today. The fucking bitch has the money.
Yeah,
If I find out that you did not charge her
he would have
three
killed you.
hundred and
Oh, he would
fifty
have killed you.
dollars
He would have
when
killed
I
you.
see you on Thursday, I will get in the ring and I will twist you.
And he
I
would
will,
too.
I will beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, he would too. He would.
I had to.
No choice.
A few
Nope.
times he had come back before I would, like right when I would wrap up and done. How much did you charge her?
God, I miss him. You have no idea. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So a lot of people didn't realize. I mean, a lot of people didn't know that. Probably to this day didn't know that I did a lot for him, and I did it because I wanted to do it. No other reason. So
Describe your time working with Ringside Entertainment and the tsunami, the dubious distinction of Mr. Ken Kelly, a good friend of ours. What was it
um,
like working for Ringside Entertainment?
so how I got in the ringside entertainment, Snooky,
Yeah.
Darren DeCenzo had called me and said, "Hey, Kenny's looking for somebody to book, and I don't want to do it." I'm like, "All right, I'll come talk to him." So I came talk to him because he was using all backyarders at the time. Like none of them guys were trained. Sam wasn't trained. Dino wasn't trained. Uh, Phoenix wasn't trained. None of them guys are trained. And so I came in, and I said to everybody, look, you guys are gonna have to get trained if you want to keep being used on the shows. Kenny was 100% behind it. Um, he uh, he even opened up a school, and I was actually the head trainer of the school at one point. There was a. Do you remember the old paintball and arcade in Everett
Yeah.
across from
Who was the original? Who started off as the original trainer for Kenny?
me? It
Was
was
Tim
me.
McNeely there for a spell?
That was later on. So in the
Okay.
very beginning, it was me. This is before he moved next to Harley Davidson in Everett, but he was over above the. He was at the arcade upstairs. He was renting
Okay.
that place out, and it was just me. And then I brought Glenn in to help because I didn't want to book and work at the same time. Just didn't want no part of it. So I said, "You take it. I'll you. I don't want the headache." Um, and then when he moved from the arcade spot to where it was next to Harley Davidson's when he brought in Tim McNeely. It was him and Mike Hollow. This is after Mike Hollow left Walters and the whole thing went sideways. Hollow was there for a little while.
That's how him and Hollow evidently became friends. I
Yeah.
forgot all about that. I
Hmm.
wondered how him and Hollow became friends, and
Well,
I had
that's
forgotten that he trained there.
and I love Tim McNeely. Tim McNeely has always been the nicest guy to me. Um, always helped me no matter what you know what I'm saying. Like I could see him 5 years from now and it would be the same. Tim McNeely's always been that type of person that you just cannot hate. He's always been a likable guy,
Yeah.
you know. And he was there for a while, so I liked working for Kenny when he was doing wrestling shows, and then all of a sudden he switched it over to being the superhero stuff. And I didn't really take much bookings because by that time I was living up in New Hampshire, so it was hard for me to get down there.
Yeah.
Um, no, but Kenny's a great guy. I mean, Kenny's helped me out in my personal life. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. He for the longest time I didn't have a license. He's the one who got me my license back.
Oh wow.
So he helped me. He actually, this is funny too. I needed somebody to go with me for my driving test, and he went with me, and we were late, and they weren't going to take me. And he went in and talked to the two state police officers. I drove around the parking lot for 2 minutes, and he gave me my license.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, I love Kenny to death. Kenny has helped me out in my personal life. You know what I mean? I've always done, and at the time, I did a lot for Kenny too. I was in charge of the ring crew. I was booking for him, and I was running the school at the time. So I was doing all those three things and working a full time job, which probably was the reason why I'm not with my ex wife anymore, amongst other reasons. But yeah, that's part of it. The business killed my first marriage.
Yeah,
It happens.
it does.
Yeah.
That it does, buddy. That it does. That it does. So right now in life, what do you do? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
I'm actually working for McCullough Concrete Teamsters Union, and I
Oh,
drive a
cool.
cement truck.
Yeah,
I drive a cement truck. So right now it's kind of slow. Like I haven't worked since last Friday. I'm going back to work tomorrow.
yeah,
Um, but it's winter. It happens. Um, you know, as you know, I'm remarried. I live
yeah.
in Pelham. She's a good girl. I'm happy.
That's all that matters. That you're happy.
It's about time. I've been through a lot in my life, a lot of turmoil,
Yeah.
which you only certain few people know. You know, Chris knows, shit like that. So
So let's bring us even more up to date. Your
okay.
current. How did you get involved with APW? Then to go on and later take over the school. And if there's anything I'm going to add into it during that, which I probably will, why don't we just get into the first part of it? How did you start off with Atlantic Pro Wrestling?
So um, I was working for Kenny at the time, and things what he was doing shows sporadically. So I wanted a new place to work, and I heard about Atlanta Pro Wrestling. They were running out of the firehouse in Newburyport. So I took a chance, went to a show, had my gear in the car like I always do. I waited a little bit, and then I ran into Big Woody. And Big Woody knew who I was from our days with NWA New England. And Demon Louie was working there, and a few other people. I said, if you need anybody, please let me know. I'm looking to get booked, whatever. The normal spiel. So they had a school down in Salisbury Beach.
Yeah,
Um, so I go down there a couple of days a week, work out, help train. Lewis was training there was training for them for a little while, and then you know Woody asked me if I would be willing to come in. I said, yeah, I'll come in. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to do Apocalypse? Do you want me to do Stiff Mike? He goes, oh, we'll do Apocalypse. Well, they hated Apocalypse, so I got unbooked for a while. So then I said to Woody, I'm like, I said I can always do Stiff Mike if you want. I said, I don't know if you ever see me do Stiff Mike. I'm just me, but I just turned the dial up to 11. So that first show I came back at Stiff Mike, he loved it, and I was booked. I've been working for them for the past, it'll be 10 years, hey, that I've been working for them. And so, as we all know, Big Woody passed away, and Joe was on his own for a while. And I still kept on working for him. And then Michael Morris came in as a partner, and they wanted to open up a school. So it was myself and Louie and Amato were the trainers at the time. And for some reason, nobody wanted to go to the school. I don't know if it was a location or what. And they were getting ready to close it. So I said, no, let me take it over. I said, just sign the lease over to me. You can sign the name over to me. I'm going to change it anyways, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So we made a deal that they could store the ring and everything there because that they were using for the school. I go, you can store your stuff here for free. Just let me take it over. So that was back in 2019. I took it over. No, 2018 because I had it for 2 years.
yeah.
I took it over in 2018 and it took off. Like I redid the whole thing. Mike Morris's daughter helped me paint the whole school. We blacked out the school. I changed it to Kings of Wrestling. I had a logo put up and everything. I had like 13 students, and I was only charging them $100 a month. So my rent was only $500. So as long as I was covering my rent, because I didn't have the electricity was included. So as long as I was covering my rent, I was charging people $100 a month.
$500 is cheap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was two older couple. I helped them out. And then wintertime, I would go shovel for them, whatever, take care of the front of the building. Um, and the pandemic hit, and they sold the building to the town, and that was it. Done.
Uh,
Massachusetts sent me a letter saying I had to close down until further notice, and that was it. Done. I lost school. So I had it for 2 years. I don't regret it. I did a couple of seminars. I did one with Brian Malonis. I did one with Louis, which did really well. Then I had Trevor Murdoch come in, which did very well.
wow.
So yeah,
Now I'm trying to remember when you debuted in APW. Was I there already? Was it that the time that
yeah, yeah.
BCW had already merged?
No, 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 not yet.
Okay.
You were there. You did a couple shows. I came in as Apocalypse. I wrestled Freight Train. We were gonna do an angle. It was teacher versus student, and then Freight Train ended up going back to California, so that got killed. They didn't really like the Apocalypse gimmick, so I ended up doing Stiff Mike, and then I've just been there ever since. I've done
Yeah,
Apocalypse a few. I've done my Apocalypse character a few times for them. Um, just recently, when I decided to come out of retirement,
yeah.
um, I brought that character back for the Gil Bach Battle Royal, and then we switched it back to Stiff Mike. So
Yeah. So hey, y'all the original. You're one of the originators of the alter ego.
yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. Oh, I can say it.
You
You
know,
heard it
I've done,
right here.
yeah, no, you actually, you're right. I do, I started flip flopping back and forth. I think it was with you. Started doing it in New England. I
Yeah.
started doing Stiff Mike, and then I would snap and bring out Apocalypse. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You were the originator of the alter ego, just like you used to tell me that I used to steal everybody's moves.
to
Oh,
this day,
there you
it's the
go,
truth.
the Kurt Angle slam. Oh, it's called the Rumble Tumble now. Yeah, I remember that.
It's, come on, really? Let's call a
Ah,
spade. Don't even go there because you know it's true.
hey, it's flattery.
Yeah, well, I listen. You know, it is what it is.
That's right. That's right. So I said it earlier today, or earlier on the program. We kicked it off,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be getting in touch with Joe Bruin. I really honestly believe through your longevity, and I see some of the names that have gone in,
Yeah.
and you definitely match up to people that have gone in. Even you have accomplished more.
Right.
So
Well, I
if,
appreciate that. I
if
really
you
do.
could just give us a minute or two on some of the good reasons on why you believe you should be considered to be in the pro, or do you, and I know you believe you deserve to be in there. So
I
if you wouldn't mind, just like give a few words on,
you know, I could probably pinpoint why he hasn't put me in yet because for a while my attitude sucked in the business and people didn't like me because they thought I had a big head, and I understand that, and that happens to a lot of us. You get that push, or you get little kids. Um, you get little kids coming up to you and want an autograph, and it goes to your head. And I think in the past, I don't know, 9 or 10 years, I've tried to correct my reputation in the business, and I try to help people as much as I can. And um, I love this business. And the reason why I feel I belong in the New England Hall of Fame is because at one point, and I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit, at one point, I was called the best big man in the business because I could do stuff that a lot of guys my size can't do. And when I went and worked for Tony Atlas, he put me in with people that he knew that I would take care of, like the Iron Sheik and himself and Tony Gurria, or not Tony Gurria, Tito Santana. All the older guys from the WWE days that I grew up watching, I was able to be in the ring with because they knew that I would be there. I would bump for them and I would take care of them and not hurt them. I mean, you put me in the ring with Superfly Jimmy Snuka, which back when I was 12 years old, I got his autograph, and hearing him at 26 years old, 28 years old, in the ring with him in front of my mother, my sister, and my grandfather at the time, because they came to that show. That was in Hartford, Connecticut. So I thank you for that, and I tell people that, I wrestled Superfly Jimmy Snuka. So yeah, I feel because of my longevity, I'm 50 years old and I'm still kind of working. I worked the past two shows. I don't think I'm. I, I don't think I'm as. I don't think I'm bad yet. I think I'm still can still do pretty much everything I used to do, except for like maybe stuff off the top rope that I haven't done in a while because the building is low ceiling, so I really don't bother going off the top rope. But I don't know. I guess I feel, yeah, Chief Wahoo McDaniel, Capelli's nailing it right there. You know, MTV True Life, we were on that as well. We were on the first
Yep.
episode of True Life.
Yes, we
So,
were.
you know, I don't, I'm not disgruntled that I haven't got in yet. You know what I mean? Um, like you said, you see so many people that have gone in, and yeah, they deserve it. But I think they deserve it well as too. And I hate. How can I put it? I don't want to lobby for it and feel like I'm a mark for myself. You know what I mean? Are you paying attention?
Oh yeah, buddy. I'm listening, man. I'm
I mean, do,
interviewing you.
do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to feel like I'm a mark for myself by calling up and say, "Hey, you're gonna put me in," because I would never do that. If he puts me in, he puts me in. Great. If he doesn't, will I be sad about it? Yeah, because I got into this business because I loved it and I wanted to be a part of it, and now still in it to give back to the younger kids to try to
Yeah,
teach them the right way to do things, and
yeah,
not come into the business thinking they're owed the world and not want to pay for it. So I might come across as of a dick sometimes to some of the younger guys, but they have it easy compared to what we went through.
hell yeah,
You
hell
know,
yeah.
and I used to say these. I used to say this all the time at my school and to my students. And Lewis, if Lewis was out here right now, he would say it 100% agree. We used to get our asses kicked every week.
Oh my, yes.
But Matt Bloom would come back to school and beat the crap out of us. Um,
Tim
Cody.
McNeely would twist you
Oh
into
yeah,
a fucking
yeah.
pretzel. Then you got Jim Cody, who later.
Cody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Howell used to beat the crap out of me. Mike Howell and I never got along at the rest of school. He's a dick. Plain and simple. He is. I get but I also respect him for the fact that he would ride certain guys to get the most potential out of it. And I told him that to his face. I told him he was a dick when he wanted to come into my school. And I said, "Yeah, you want to come in and train? Fine, but I'm not paying you because I can't afford it." And he left. It is what it is. I get it. He wants to get paid. I respect that. And when I see Mike, I'm cordial with him. I say, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. Unfortunately, at one point, I was working in the same plant that he works at, and for Brock, so I had to be nice to him and had to talk to him. As you get older, you try not to hold grudges, I guess.
Yeah.
So and not for nothing. And in a way, I kind of owe a lot of my ability and my longevity to Mike because he taught us how to work the right way. You know,
Yeah. Very, very, very true.
I mean, I'm a firm believer if it doesn't look real, don't do
Yep.
it. And that's just from the way we were trained. You know, so I mean, going back to why I feel I deserve to be in the New England Hall of Fame because I've been in New England basically my whole career, and I've put my my name is out there. People know who I am, and I just feel I belong because I've worked my ass off for it. I've always wanted to go to the next level, but I chose to have a at the time I chose to get married and have a kid and have a family instead of going to the next level. So I guess that's my plea. I plead my case. I don't know. Like I said again, I would never call him up and say, "Hey, I belong in the New England Hall of Fame." It's just not me. It's not who I am.
Well, I have a good story about on how I found out. So it was one night at the old Everett Belltime Club, and the boys, after a Friday night TV taping or a Saturday night TV taping, we'd all hang around, get really inebriated,
Of course,
obviously.
of course you did.
Okay. So I guess I got into one of the boys. The students asked me, "Do you think you should be in the Hall of Fame?" And I went on and on. So little to my knowledge, Joey, Biba,
Bieber, yeah,
Mullet, Bare Knuckle Burley
yeah.
all went on my behalf and gave their reason on why their trainer should be in the Hall of Fame. And
Eh,
Joe Bruin, when he called me to tell me, he goes, I want to let you know how much you must mean to those kids over at that wrestling school for them to get in touch with me in the firm belief that they believe you're deserving of this. And Joe told me I would have gotten it. He just didn't think he thought it was too soon, but he had
Right.
to do it because my students demanded that it be done.
Well, I'll tell you, you're not the only one that's actually speaking up for me. There's a few other people that are speaking up for me, and I appreciate everybody that's doing that. Um, my One of my original students from Kenny's, just in case, he's actually reaching out to Joe Bruin, and a few other people in the business are reaching out. So, again, if he puts me in, he puts me in. It's great. I will be humble if he puts me in. Will I be sad if he doesn't put me in? Probably, yeah. You know,
I think you'll be there, buddy. I
I
think
hope
you'll be
so.
there.
It,
All
it'd
right.
be it would be a good way to cap off my career, I guess.
So we're getting down to the nitty and gritty. It's now time
Okay.
for name dropping time.
Well, here we go.
All right. I'll start off easy. The
Yeah,
brief description: Tony Atlas.
I love Tony. Tony, you and Tony gave me my first actual break in wrestling. Um, I used to love like so. There was one show. This is a good story. He started hitting on my mother at one point. It was great. It was a show in May. My mother came with me, and he was sitting on my mother. I'm like, Tony, what are you doing? She's a beautiful girl, Papa Whips. She's a beautiful. He used to call me a Papa Whips because you couldn't say apocalypse,
Just like
but
you would say Batarora.
or cell But again, Tony had faith in me with the older stars to put me in the ring with them and to work with them and to put them over. And I've always appreciated Tony for that because it had helped me learn more by being in the ring with somebody, not saying you, but with somebody who wasn't as seasoned as they were. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. All right. Next, Pat Doyle.
Um, Pat Doyle, you have to take with a grain of salt. He is who he is. I don't have any heart or dislike for Pat anymore. At one point, I couldn't stand him, but now he is who he is. He's a good producer. He was great with you guys, with us with NW New England, and he worked great with and he was great with Tony Rumble. So
Hold on, I don't want to lose you. Oh man, where the hell is my charger? Uh, let me.
you got to you got to be on point with your shit.
Yeah, I didn't think my computer was gonna lose battery.
Plug it in before you go black.
Bada big, baby.
There you go.
All
Pat,
right.
Pat's got a good mind for the business. Always has. Probably always. I haven't seen Pat in a very long time, but he's got a good mind for the business. So I have respect for
Okay.
Pat. Now you're frozen.
Tony Rumble.
Tony Rumble. Tony Rumble. I love Tony Rumble. Um, he was my second break in the business. Tony was always brutally honest. I remember when we were working the colors at Suffolk Downs at the Hot Dog Safari, and I got in the ring. He said, "Get your ass back to school. You're looking like shit." Tony never pulled any punches ever. Um, Gave me my Corporal Johnson gimmick, which was great. So I love Tony. Miss him every day.
All right. Let's get to someone that you might actually say a bad word about, but you just never know. Chris Bartolo.
Um, Again, Chris is who he is. He's done some dumb shit in the past, and there have been days that I've wanted to choke the life out of him, and I think he's a dick at most points. But from what I see on Facebook, he's trying to straighten his life out. So all the power to him. So I
I
really
don't
got to.
follow him on Facebook. I don't see.
I'm friends with him on Facebook. It's some posts are the same old Chris, and then some are, you know, a little bit more humble, a little
Yeah.
bit more down to earth. He's done a lot of stupid shit. He burnt a lot of bridges with a lot of people. I've beaten the crap out of him more than once in the ring.
Oh yeah, I know. I think for me a few times.
Yes, I have. That's how it goes.
I
Rhode Island.
wouldn't say he burnt his bridge for me, but he lost my respect.
He's lost my respect too. I don't respect him at all. He would have to apologize publicly on a public forum for me to even consider having any respect for him. I do
Right.
believe there was a certain booker who's probably watching the show right now that I walked into the building at Rhode Island and was immediately pulled aside and said, "Beat the ever living shit out of him, and I'll be happy." Who was that?
I don't know.
It was. It was. I think it was nine. I think it was 98 or 99. Yeah, you got no clue who that was. I know exactly who it is. Yeah, I think it was 98, or it was right before he passed away because he passed away in 99.
Yeah, that's definitely Forbes.
Yeah,
I think it's funny the people who don't want to go in through StreamYard so that you know who they are.
whatever. It's fine.
It's all good. So yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, if Chris was to present in full edited footage, the last Tony Rumble Memorial Hall of Fame inductions would happen in Malden, and I got to induct Capelli and a few others. I think
I never got inducted into that.
you were still you were still active with me, buddy. Just like I wasn't going to put myself in.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Or Bo Douglas.
yeah.
Bo Douglas ain't in there.
No, I know. I'm just teasing you.
So
Enough
let's
of him.
get to
Continue.
Glenn Higgins.
Glenn Higgins is a brother to me, just like you are, just like Capelli. Glenn was at my house for Thanksgiving this past year. Um, he came home from California for a wedding. It had nowhere to eat for Thanksgiving. And I said, "You're coming to my house." Glenn has helped me a lot in the business. Um, He's definitely helped me out a lot in the business. He's the one that taught me how to cut promos as well from Wrestling Center. And then when he came into ringside, and he was my manager for a long time. So what can I say? I love Glenn. I was sad that he moved away, but I love. He's a brother, family. Next,
I will talk more about my stories with Tony next podcast. At that time, Tony was trying to boost rock and wrestling shows, but unfortunately, it's passed. If this is Forbes, I was his right hand man at those times.
yep.
Meaning, I was usually to the right hand side as he was passing the J or the money from the ounce that he was buying off me. So,
Zing!
with that being said, okay, with that being said, we actually went up to an old horse or dog track up in the South Shore that Joel Davis found. And they did flea markets out of there. And what we were trying to do was that was the first place that we were going to try these rock and wrestling shows. Tony had this idea for a stage and then the wrestling ring. And the reason being that I even know more of this is because I took my dad was going to do all
Build
of
the
the
stage.
carpentry work and
Yep.
build the stage for the rock and wrestling. Yes, very true.
So here's another tidbit that nobody knows. And a few other people know. I was the last one to wrestle Tony Romo before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
It was me and Trooper versus him and Knuckles Nelson in a tag team match in Wallingford, Connecticut, in front of 1,700 people.
Yeah.
Worst beating I took in my life from Tony because he beat the crap out of me with that helmet.
Next, Walter Killer Kowalski.
Um, what can I say about Walter? Walter is, to me, a second father. I would have done anything and everything for him, and I have. She was still here, to be honest with you. Um, I love Walter. Walter helped me get into the business, trained, made my dream come true. I always wanted to be a professional wrestler since I was like 5 or 6. So there is definitely up there on my respect plateau.
One of our classmates, Mr. Bo Diggity Douglas.
I love Bo. There's been times that Bo and I have not seen eye to eye, and we've argued and fought and argued and fought. But Bo was like a brother to me, and if Bo, I think anything ever happened to Bo or if Bo ever needed anything, I would hope that he would reach out because I would definitely be there for him. Again, we're like brothers. We all are. Me, you, Capelli, Damon. I treasure you guys because you don't make those kind of friendships normally. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what we have is because we've been in the ring together. I've put my life in your hands. You put your life in my hands, and we've been up and down the road to Maine, New York, Connecticut to wrestle, and you build those kind of bonds. And I love Bo. Love Bo to death.
All right. The last name. People on here know him as the Great Gazoo. We know him as Vinny Capelli, aka Chris Reyes.
Chris Reyes. Yes, he has a big head, but I love that big shiny dome of his. He's actually my first daughter's godfather. Um, I love him to death. Would do anything for him. Have a lot of respect for him. Um, like I said, I consider him family, like I consider you family, like I consider Bo family. Damon Wagner, and we don't see each other all the time. The only time we get to break balls is on here.
Yeah.
Um, but it's fun. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every week. It gives me something to look forward to. You know, um, I mean, when I was going through some personal shit, Chris was there. He would call me, make sure I'm okay. Um, and that means a lot to me. There isn't a lot of people in this world that I consider close friends.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful. There's you. There's Chris. There's Bo. Um, Michael Morris is one of them, and of course you know my best friend Billy that lives in Springfield. Those are only people I really consider my close friends, and everybody else is just an acquaintance. And I've
Just to
always
throw, just to throw a little one at you.
yeah,
During
here we
a
go.
hard time, I believe that Mr. Jim Sargent stepped up to the plate for you for a little while.
I was just getting to that. So Jim Sargent, he's another one that I have the utmost respect for and would do anything for, because when I was homeless, I lived in his basement for a good 6 months.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so he helped me through some really really dark times. So I don't know if you can see this tattoo right here.
Yeah.
See that? Okay. You know what that means?
Nope.
So it's a semicolon. So people want, this is a supposed to be a humbling um, interview. So I'm really going to put myself out there. At one point, I've tried to commit suicide, not once but twice, and so this right here means my story's not done because I let somebody break me down to a point where I didn't want to live anymore. And if it wasn't for my close friends and my support system and Jim Sargent being the biggest one at that point in time,
Yeah.
not to take away from anybody else, I wouldn't
Nope.
be here. I
I
would
heard
not be
about
here.
all the great things he did for you, Mike. That's why
Yeah,
I had to bring this up.
yeah. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and giving me a place to live and pushing me. And even Big Woody, God rest his soul, when I was going through all that and I wanted to quit wrestling, he told me, he goes, if you quit wrestling, I'm putting my foot up your ass because that's the only thing that's keeping you going. And at that point in time, wrestling was my church.
Yeah.
Wrestling every month was a place for me to go for 4 or 5 hours and forget about the real world. And that's exactly what I did. I took wrestling and embraced it and was just able to let go of a lot of pent up aggression and energy that I had going at the time. And, again, if Big Gun wasn't there for me and didn't reach out when this all started, I wouldn't be here right now
Yeah.
because I did not, at that point in time, did not want to live at all. Didn't care about anything or anybody. I just wanted the pain to go away. And he helped me through a lot. So yes, Big Gun is one of the people that I would bend over backwards for, take my shirt off my back. If I had $2 in my pocket and he needed it, I would give it to him. And I would do that for mostly anybody, any of you guys, but he holds a special place in my heart right now. So, and Capelli, your big fat head holds a special place in my heart too. I need a hammer. You need to come over. I need you to headbutt some nails.
So I have to say this. I wanted to talk about it earlier.
Okay.
Two of my favorite road trips of all time happened with you.
I know which ones they are. Continue.
Okay. I tell people about my time we got abducted by aliens on the way up to Maine. And
That's
people,
Bo Douglas's gimmick, not mine. I never said that.
no, and people say that I am bullshitting them. And I tell them four cars pull over at the same time with no cell phones back then.
Yeah. All right. You want me to take over
And
from here?
oh, buddy, please.
So here's how the story starts. We all pile in the cars, and we were supposed to go to Machias, Maine, where you live now, correct?
Yes, sir. How
Okay.
fucked up is that?
Yeah.
The
So we
aliens brought me back here.
wait. This is the best story. This is better than the New York one. So we're driving. We're on the highway. Carly gets a flat tire. So now, because we put fix a flat in the freaking tire, and it's 10:30 at night, we have to drive Route One all the way to Machias, Maine. So we over because we had to add more fix a flat. and it was this big, giant, two fields on either end of us, sides of us with satellite dishes, right? And here's Bo Douglas going, "We're going to get abducted by aliens. I know it. Either that, or we're going to be marrying somebody's sister." Because out in that area, we were worried about being shotgun wedding. I'm telling you that right now. So we blink, and we're at the hotel room. Like it was like that. It was like out of nowhere, right? So we get to the hotel room. It's like what, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We figured
Yeah.
we're gonna have separate rooms. We get a room with 5 beds in it, and I got to sleep in the same room as the human chainsaw, Mr. Jason Rumble. That wasn't even asleep yet, and he was snoring. Do you still do that, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's machines to help you with that, by the way. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's all right. I don't want to look like something out of fucking the Boba Fett story.
Darth Vader rides again. So yeah. So do I think we do you? Is there any kind of truth that maybe we got to been abducted by aliens? Could be, because I do believe when we pulled over at that point in time, we were a good hour away from the hotel, and the next thing you know, we're at the hotel. So it could have been a beam me up, Scotty moment.
Yeah.
So then the other story, when you rented your ring to AWA in Brooklyn, New York, we were supposed to get a hotel room in New Jersey, but we left too late and couldn't find the hotel room. So we had to sleep in the truck because every hotel room that we found was by the hour. And the sites that we saw in front of the hotel room is why they were booked by the hour. So we ended up sleeping in the truck, and your freaking feet stunk, and I wanted to suffocate you because you were snoring. So I decided to climb the back of the ring truck and sleep on the pads. So then we get to the building, and the ring is down 3 flights of stairs in an elevator that didn't fit much in it. So what do? We set the ring up, wrestled on what, 2 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
stole the show, packed up, and drove home that night.
But the best part is who was in that ring and who
The
came
Rock.
in.
The Rock was in that ring, came in the locker room, and talked to us for a good, what, 10 minutes?
Yep.
Yep.
It was
Saw
all
us
because of
wrestle.
the. Yeah, it was all a Bally. It was because of the Bally. He had an agreement with Bally's. He worked there as a kid, and he told them no matter how rich and famous he got, he would make his time to come back and do things.
Yeah,
And
and
it
he did.
was, and he came there as part of a meet and greet. So,
Yes, he
all
did.
right, we'll wrap it up with this. After 25 years, or how many more years you got going on,
Yeah.
how do you want people to remember you? What are you looking to leave behind in this business? Actually,
Um,
before you answer that, here we go. I forgot. I got one more.
okay.
Putting the fan aspect aside,
Okay.
what do you believe professional wrestling right now in general, whether it be indies or the so to speak the pro level, as the bigger fan, the uneducated fan would call it, and
Yeah.
in a way, shape, and form, indies is pro, but
Yeah.
when you turn pro, there's guaranteed money. So I understand why people list it like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel in general that that wrestling's in good shape?
Um, I think the independent scene is in good shape. It's hot as it's ever been right now. Um, the pro level, I think, is a little upside down. Um, listen, WWE, they are what they are. They're geared toward the PG era. They're not really doing anything. Um, no blood, no sex, nothing like that. AEW, I honestly think AEW is more AEW to me, and I'm probably gonna catch heat for this, is more of a super indie fed, and Tony Khan is a mark with money, and he's booking what he wants to see, and he's not really doing storylines. Um, he's spending way too much money. He's got too many guys on the roster right now. I've heard from a few people that they're hemorrhaging money out of that place right now. I think it's good for business. I think AEW is good for business. Um, do I think WWE? Do I think WWE thinks that AEW is competition? No, not. They don't consider them competition whatsoever. I don't know what to think of the Cody Rhodes thing. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's a work. I think he legitimately left because he's pissed off because he's not getting money. Do I think he's going back to WWE? I don't know. No idea. Nor do I care because I still think he's a mid Carter no matter where he goes. And that's just my opinion. And if anybody doesn't like it, I don't care because I never thought he was great when he was in WWE. I hated him as Stardust. He's got a dry personality to me. Even when he went to New Japan and became part of the Bullet Club, he just seemed out of place.
Yeah.
He never fit. He never really fit in with that smart ass DX kind of attitude. He never had it. Never.
So we'll talk about that on the show. I'm thinking that I'm understanding that the pay per view
Is at noon.
is at noon. So
I
I'm
do believe
thinking
so.
we do. I think we do two shows. I think Friday night we talk about wrestling highlights and
And,
headlines,
and
and
Saturday
then
night.
Saturday
Yeah.
we talk about the road to WrestleMania, which should be pretty cut and dry.
Now,
After that,
now, if Cody Rhodes does sign with WWE and he shows up in Saudi Arabia, somebody's gonna have egg all over their face and a lot of eggs on his face. And you know who I'm talking about.
oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
do I think he's gonna show up at the pay per view? No. Do I think he's gonna show up at WrestleMania? I don't know because I'm not there and I don't know what's going on. I just go by what every wrestling site, from legitimate to shitbags, mark sheets, are saying that he's in talks with WWE and they're offering him a shitload of money and main event status. That's what I've been hearing.
The only one thing I like the fact
I
of
saw that.
somebody earlier
I saw that. Yeah.
saying that this has created heat because it's gone back. It's the only true storyline that maybe Tony Khan has written is Cody Rhodes' demise in the company.
Right.
And I mean,
I mean, if that happens, good for them. They came up with a good storyline. It's going to work. But
what if
here's
they would
my
have come back with, and I'm just saying this, like the narrative, minus no Bray Wyatt, but just him with the narrative.
so here's my thing. If he was truly not in talks with WWE and he has truly not left AEW, WWE would have came out by now and said, "Nope, he's not coming here. We don't want no part of him." They
Yep.
haven't even said shit about it.
Okay.
So that's where I'm on the fence because if that was true, WWE would have blew that spot up in 2 seconds and said, "Nope, he's not coming here. We're not," like they did with Punk. They came flat out and said, "We want nothing to do with Punk." Plain and simple. Right then
Uh,
and there, I knew Punk was going to AEW because they came out flat out, released a statement. We do not want to do business with CM Punk. We have never talked to him.
So right now, I'm going to cut it right there. If you want to know further, you need to tune in Friday night at 8 o'clock to Inside the Gorilla Position, which will be presenting a Friday night free for all. We will discuss all the top headlines from pro wrestling. But right now, we're going to wrap up Being Humble with Jason Rumble. With
Well,
my
let me
guest,
answer.
Tip
Let me,
Mike King, I want you to answer the one last question. Just what are you looking for? Like what do you like what do
my
you how do you
legacy.
want to be remembered? How what are you looking for your give back and your contribution to this sport, so to speak?
I want to be remembered, I should say, or known that I was a good worker. Um, and for the past 10 years, I worked on my reputation and been willing to put anybody and anyone over, I guess. And my school was my way of trying to give back to the business and help younger kids learn how to do it the right way, and not want to come in and be spot monkeys and not learn the business from the ground up. So yeah, I would like to be known as a person that gave back to the business, gave
Okay.
back to a business that I fell in love with as a 5 year old, and would be in awe whenever they would come into my aunt's restaurant. You know, I've discussed this before in other shows. I've met Albano, I've met Classy Freddie Blassie, I've met Andre the Giant when I was a little kid. So I want to be remembered as a person that loved this business and is trying to do as much as I can to give back to it before I ride off into the sunset, should I say.
All right. So maybe one more quote. When do you see yourself? When do you see yourself? Just say stepping away and riding off into the sunset and trying to enjoy uh, Mike King, the person.
As a worker, I'm probably going to end it either June or August in the ring, but as being part of the business, I never will. I love this business way too much. I'll have my hands in it at some way, somehow, some shape or form. Right now, I work in the back at APW and I'm not booked on shows. I help run the locker room and I give my input. So I probably never will ever not be part of the business because I really truly do love it that much and want to see APW under its new management flourish and go further than it did when it was Joe Moakley and Mike Morris, which is now owned by Sonny Goodspeed and Mike Morris.
Yeah,
So I would probably never leave the business per se, but as for in ring, I don't want to be 51, 52, 53 years old still working. I don't want to be that type of guy that can't let go of being in the ring. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? I mean, I love being in front of a crowd and I love it gives me an adrenaline rush. And, my body's still allowing me to do it right now. But I think probably either June or July or August is when I'm going to hang up my boots for good this time and just work strictly out back with the younger guys.
yeah.
So
Awesome, awesome. So, Mike, for those people not only on here but people who will listen, just to say, hey, I want to listen to this wrestling podcast. Uh, and your story sounds interesting. They say, "Man, I want to see this stiff Mike." Where would they be able to see it not only live but online? Is there do you have matches that are on
um,
YouTube or anything of that nature?
a, a lot of my stuff is on Atlanta Pro Wrestling on their YouTube channel.
Yep,
Even if you search my name on YouTube, most of my stuff is up there. I don't have a channel per se, and I probably should get all my stuff together and make a channel.
yep,
um, there's some good matches of me as Stiff Mike and as Apocalypse. Um, there's one thing you didn't ask me: which character I like better.
okay. See, I like that.
So I like doing Apocalypse better because um, it just it kind of like helps me channel myself a little bit more, focus a little bit more in the ring because I don't pay attention to the crowd as Apocalypse. I don't have to work the crowd, but that gimmick's always worked for me. Even when I first started doing it for you and NWA New England, I was able just to have that dead stare on my face. And when you make a little kid cry and run from the building, you know you're over. That's for you, Capelli.
Jerry
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Leone, Jerry Leone from Malden's giving you a big thank you. I think that's why I'm
Thank you,
putting that up.
sir. I appreciate that very much.
Jerry Leone has watched you many a times on Malden Access Television.
Yes.
If
I
I'm,
I probably hung up on him a few times when he would call in.
well, you know, He's a friend of Glenn Higgins, a friend of Trelonzo, uh, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was a classmate of Mr. Chris Bartolo.
I'm sorry. I'm just being a smart ass now. But just listen, Jason. I thank you for this interview. I hopefully people have seen the softer side of Mike King or Stiff Mike or whatever you want to call me. Um, I'm not who I portray to be. I guess I do have a soft spot sometimes. Um, People have to understand that personally, a lot of things have happened to me. So I put up walls and I put this intimidating front up because I don't let a lot of people in my personal life. So this was a good way of letting some people understand who I am, and I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Awesome,
And
brother.
I love you, brother. I love you like a brother. You know that.
I love you too, man.
I wish you were not up in East but fuck Maine, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Um, Before I retire, I want to get in the ring with you one more time.
I'm sure. I'm sure that we can. I'm sure in a way, shape, and form that can happen, brother.
Just so we can show these young kids how it's really done.
Yes, sir.
Because I do believe that show in New York, we didn't call jack shit and stole the show, and everybody was mad at us because we
Well,
did everything under the sun.
that's right.
And I do believe my payday, and then we'll get off. It was my payday for that trip was you bought me my gear, first set of gear. It's Apocalypse.
I think I did. That's right.
Yep. So we've been through a lot. And again, I enjoy being on the show and breaking balls with everybody. As much as I call everybody clowns and joke around, I have nothing but a lot of respect for everybody who comes on the show and talks wrestling because that's what it's about, wrestling.
We love it. We enjoy it. So, Mike, I want to thank you for being put on the rumble seat and getting humbled by Jason Rumble.
Well, as humble as I would let you humble me, but now you did a good job. You did a good job, Jay. You did. You
Thank
did.
you, brother. All right, everybody out there in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, you know, pass the good word along. The Gorilla Position Network. To those of you out there that like even more wrestling and like hearing, we have a whole group and community that is out there. We like to get together. We talk about the headlines of pro wrestling. Give us a follow and more stuff to listen to. If you think we're entertaining here, we're even more entertaining on the program. We've been
Because I
told
will go back. I will go back to being an asshole on Friday and Saturday night.
we've been told that we put on a better storyline than WWE and AEW television. So
Probably.
we'll take that. And we try not to insult anybody's intelligence. That's one's to you, Joey Gilmartin. All
You're
right,
so
everyone.
stupid.
Mike, thank you for being on. And
Thank you.
everybody out there, continue to support pro wrestling, whether it be the indies or the W or a major pro wrestling promotion. Have a good one. Good night, everyone.